What's the deal?
What's happening? I was trying to see if I sat perfectly still for long enough without blinking, if you would think that the network froze, but then I blinked and started to smirk, and that went out the window.
That didn't work out for you.
No, like most things.
That didn't work out for you. That's funny. A little flustered.
Flustered?
Yeah, that's the right word. Just a little flustered. Just some thoughts running through my mind.
Gotcha.
I don't really I'm definitely not in good spirits.
Man, what's up? Is it the topic related or ancillary real life?
You know, it's funny, man, that the more creative you get, you know what I'm saying, the more intellect can be a lonely place. And Lord knows when it connects with emotions.
Sure. I try to keep those, far apart.
Yeah, but it's hard because eventually they go into a space to where, they start to just connect.
Sure.
But I'm
you're
not
a caring guy, so
yeah, and I'm not in good spirits. So this is a weird time to have this conversation because I am not in good spirits at all. But
guess this is one of the cases against pre-planning the topics, which we had avoided for a very long time.
I always try to talk to communicate. Like it's funny. Like I don't think I've ever existed in a fold with somebody else. Like, don't get me wrong. Every human being is, they capable of just being selfish and, whatever they feel for themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
They just could feel however they feel. But man, I'm not in good spirits. I always talk in good faith. You know what I mean? I don't never troll, bro. Like I don't never troll. Like I never troll. Like even when I comment on Twitter, even like my social media space, like I communicate truly in good faith. But a lot of times I just notice how humanity really can kind of like not be humane, Pete. You know what I'm saying? They like not be humane. Like
sure.
I don't know if everybody is thinking about other people.
No.
You know what I mean? Like what you supposed to do. I remember talking to Steele and telling Steele like, yeah, the point of being alive is to help other people. Like, right, to pass information to help other people. And I just don't think everybody understands that. You know what I mean? I don't think they really get it. I was looking at this thing with Fat Joe, and shout out to Fat Joe because Fat Joe's team is my people. I
saw something about that.
Yeah, Fat Joe's team is my people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Fat Joe is a cool dude. You know what I mean? From what I met about him, what I talking to him the times that I have.
Sure. Seems like a cool enough guy.
He always was a cool dude. Like I said, his team is great. They've been great. Shout out to Macho. Shout out to the homies around him. But he was doing an interview and he was sitting down with Math. And Math is my favorite battle rapper of all time. Everybody pretty much knows that. But he was talking specifically about hip hop. And it's been a conversation about hip hop for a while. What is hip hop? And I'm thankful that I did this work over the last 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like to really understand, you know what I'm saying, what it is. like to really understand what it is, I did a lot of work to understand what it was. It was no way that I felt entitled to it just because I'm black. I didn't feel entitled to it just because I'm from Watts or Compton, because I'm from the same city that NWA or Cam or Kendrick Lamar. I never felt entitled to it. And I noticed that's a common theme amongst humans. I mean, they feel really entitled to some things culturally that everybody, identifies as black culture. You know what I mean? Like, let's say black culture specifically, right? They feel entitled to it, but they have no understanding. It's like being a Crip and people feel entitled to the culture, or like some kind of dominance when it comes to the conversation, when they don't have they haven't took any time to learn nothing about what the fuck this thing is about. Excuse my language. They have done no time to they don't know who the first Crip were. They don't know, the first group of Crips, you know what I'm saying, who they were trying to identify with, who they are trying to belong with. They don't have any idea, nothing culturally.
Sure.
I mean, but they feel entitled. So I always felt kind of funny for Joe, because I know Joe is from the heart and soul of hip hop, you know what I mean, from the Bronx. So I felt like people, you know what I'm saying? I felt like people gave him a hard time. And the initial conversation was hip hop was started by Puerto Ricans and blacks. That was the first point that Fat Joe said, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it became this really crazy conversation that spiraled out of control about Black Americans creating hip hop. And I let the conversation happen. Shout out to Lord Jamar and all of the guys of this shit that really been doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? And I realized from my studies and what they're saying, they're not saying anything too far apart. There are some things that are misleading in the conversation, but there's a really simple thing. The people were different. It was all kind of people that have backgrounds from all kind of different countries in America. The culture, right, is again urban street culture, right? Urban street culture. You know what I'm saying? Urban street culture, that's what it is. And yes, in the late 60s, 70s, and 80s in America, in most urban street communities, right? In urban street communities, Black people shaped the culture. Like Black people were pretty much the primary people shaping urban street culture. And we talked about this just like in the 20s. It was different kinds of white folks. You go to Chicago, you got Al Capone and them. Over there in Boston, you got the Irish brothers and the Italian brothers. They were shaping street urban culture. There was a time Jewish people were shaping street urban culture. But at that time, the late 60s, 70s, and 80s, Black folks were shaping street urban culture. So innately, Black urban street culture very much is street urban culture, or that we call hip hop, how we did our thing, right? Yeah. That's the inception of it. So the culture was there. I know there were Puerto Rican people there because they told me, the guys that was around at the beginning told me there were Puerto Rican people there. Their culture wasn't there.
Sure.
Their culture was still separated as their culture. They kept it separate. Right, they kept their culture separate, and that's fire. Right, that's the whole move.
Also, at that time, like we've talked about, and this is just fiction, whatever nonsense, but time frame wise, it's reasonably fair. Like West Side's story with Puerto Ricans in the 1950s. So at this time frame, I also think it's plausible you have second generation people there who are maybe more assimilated, and then first generation Puerto Ricans there who are maybe more culturally separated. So I think there's maybe some gray, in some of those assessments, because that would be the first age range in which you had second generation Puerto Ricans who were really, really born in New York and grew up there, and opposed to move there.
It's still a lot closer to first, but I don't think that's the point. I think the culture was very much established.
Sure.
Right. And yes, I genuinely believe Puerto Rican people were there at the, like, that's no question. They were
Yeah,
obviously
they were like in the same
Puerto Rican
projects.
people in the Bronxdale
You know?
projects. I
Yeah,
mean, that's just course, right? And some were hanging out with doing the thing that the brothers was doing. Whatever the thing the brothers was doing from that community, they were
yeah,
doing the same thing. So they pretty much, like you just said, assimilated into the culture.
yeah. Into that
Um,
culture, you know, and
into
it's the
that
same.
specific culture.
Yeah, and it's the same in LA. There are Mexicans up in Compton and all throughout LA that have some impact in the shaping of that culture, but really, so far as hip hop goes, it's black culture that created it, and there is some, you know, I mean, there that's part of what makes LA and New York different. There is, you know, all these factors. There is a factor there, but it's not like, you know, what's the tail versus the dog. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, but and I think that's what's being confused, right?
Sure.
But I don't spend a lot of time, worried about all of that stuff. That ain't my cross to bear. I'm not getting into that. But there was something specifically that Fat Joe said that bothered me,
Sure.
and he said he was being attacked by radical black racists.
Joe has
And
been on this, or go on.
no, and that made me feel uncomfortable,
Sure.
right? Because it was like somebody made a good point to me, the talking point that represents, right? A radical black racist. That's a very weird talking point.
Mhm.
Very weird talking point to even use that term. And this is where you can see where hip hop culture and black culture part,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Hip hop culture and black culture part, right? You can see that in that terminology, right?
Yeah.
Where Joe was able to say black radical racist as a hip hop person. This is where it
Yeah.
splits, right?
Sure.
And people got to understand this is where it splits because you cannot contest how hip hop Fat Joe is. He was raised in the culture
Yeah.
completely
I agree.
and raised around brothers for that matter. But yet he doesn't understand why those terms cannot go together, especially when you supposed to be of what people think the culture is, which they confuse with black culture,
Yeah.
right? And we've talked about this, right, Pete? Yes, by simple Webster's dictionary, black folks can be racist. But we understand racism as a term of systemic oppression and a way to keep people up and other people down. So we know that black people cannot be racist. They cannot apply racism. So it would be a waste of time to call them a racist. You could call them a bigot, you call them prejudiced, but they could never be racist in this country. They don't have any ways to apply any systemic racism. But Pete, that's only something that we know. We know, and I can tell you, and you're intelligent enough to get what I'm saying. So
Sure.
you can look at the nuance, be like, I get what you're saying, G, minus the definition of the words.
Mhm. It is kind of interesting. Oddly enough, hip hop might be one of the only ecosystems that's, to a degree, again, in nuance, exceptional to that, because there is sort of some effort to like maintain, like, not a hard line, but like some degree of integrity via barriers of entry and through kind of a little bit of a purity where it's like, you don't, where, you know, you hear the expression, we don't want hip hop to get rock and rolled. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And you guys do dominate that space a lot. So if you're in just a hip hop ecosystem, there's room for that to be, because you guys are the powerful player in that room. You know what I'm saying? Outside of that room, no. But yeah, I know what you mean. Long
And
story short.
so, yeah, and so I could see. Oh, well, first off, no ceilings live, the lunch hour every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Forgive me, y'all. I'm in really bad spirits right now, but we're gonna work through it. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right here at Digital Soapbox. Click the thumbs up button real quick for me. Shout out to everybody at the lunch table. V, Don, Trash was happening. West Side, thank you for moderating. Squishy, thank you for moderating. Serious, yeah, man, we're gonna get to it. Revenge, all my good people. Mr. Green, Mark, I'm glad you're here. I'm in a really shitty space, bro. Like a really shitty space. And this is a really odd time to have this conversation because it's like this could be, it could be really emotional. You know what I mean? And I expect better from Joe. So starting there, like I expect better from Joe, and I really expect better from Joe. You know what I mean? But again, this is where you see Joe is not a brother.
Yeah, which is that kind of brings up a point I was going to go earlier. He's been on this crusade for several years saying Puerto Ricans are black. I mean,
and that's my point, bro. That's
yeah, and
my
like,
point, bro.
I remember the first time he started that, I was hanging out with Dorsey High School's own Kai Kelly. Shout out to one of the nicest guys in the world, and he was really not pleased with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on.
And it all goes back again. Make sure you click the link in the description. No Ceilings, the podcast. We're dropping a fire conversation tomorrow with this brother we got right here sitting right here on this other screen. Y'all see him. That's my homeboy 6 John, one of the underground legends of the West Coast, one of the earliest artists bringing it back when they took it from us, once Pac passed away and they wasn't messing with West Coast. 6 John and a couple other guys were some of the first guys getting stamped in the music business and getting opportunities at the highest level and reestablishing it for artists like where I was coming, even though we pretty much close to the same age, but he was for real already into the music. And 6 John is with us here now. So click the link in the description. You feel me? And the new pod drops tomorrow. Conversations inspired by GNX Fire Podcast. We've been dropping a lot of dope podcasts lately.
Yeah. And thanks for coming back, man. You guys who are on the live today are in for a treat because conversation yesterday was cool. This is gonna be awesome. Cool.
Check your joint.
Check. What's up? Y'all
good? Man.
Awesome. We in.
So shout out to EP. Come right to the table, donating, contributing. So that statement was meant to please his non-white fan base and business partners at the expense of those radical black racists. But how Charlemagne could have Farrakhan on Breakfast Club. And see, that's where I don't want it to get loose. Nothing about Fat Joe makes me think that he's a white man. I'm not like he's not a white man.
No, if I violently assaulted Fat Joe, I could say some shit while I was doing it and get it escalated to a hate crime against me. I couldn't do that against Bill Anderson, the accountant.
And I don't want that to get, and that's what bothered me about somebody that would consider themselves a friend of Fat Joe. Right? It's like, this is one of those situations that's bad. It's like, bro, like you got to know better. But again, this goes into that further conversation about hip hop not necessarily being black. Somebody said it earlier at the lunch table. This is that rare pocket. Let me find it. This is that rare pocket. I don't want to steal it. Shout out to Mark Gear. Mark is brilliant. Mark been messing with No Ceilings since probably the first season. Shout out to Mark.
Yeah,
he's right. Hip hop in theory is a rare space where we kind of have the power to be racist by the true definition of having power as a race. We don't even have the opportunity then in that space, right? We still don't have the power because we can't control the economic side of it to make it work, right? But where we do have power is we can determine what's cool and what's not cool.
Yeah.
So there is a social currency, granted, but again, social currency is not, it's not a applicable way to truly carry out a systemic act of racism. You know what I'm saying? Like, not truly, like, and it's not about that even for Joe. My problem is with Joe is, and it's not a problem with Joe, but this goes to that point. This is, I don't never have the you right glasses points. When people be like, oh, you right glasses, you right glasses, you right. I don't really never trip because most of this stuff is pretty simple. So like if I'm telling y'all Lil Wayne, when I said right here on the stream, when that Lil Wayne tweet went up after the song dropped, you know, Whacked Out Mirrors, Lil Wayne tweeted the stuff he tweeted. I told y'all he didn't hear it. I'm like, if Wayne would have heard that, he wouldn't have responded like that. I know how this dude get down, you know what I mean? And I really peep the person he is. This nigga's a really good dude. This ain't his style. I'm like, he didn't hear that. He's hearing the hoopla. and he tweeted.
Wayne's the guy I'd like to get to know. He seems like a cool guy.
He's an awesome guy. But he tweeted, you feel me? And he tweeted off the emotions of it. There's a lot of things that go on in an artist's mind, especially at this point in his career, especially if you're a top 5 all-time great like him. He's had one of the 5 greatest careers in the history of hip-hop. But I know him and you don't know him. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things that people say, Glasses, you're right about. I just happen to have more information than you. Right. So I don't never feel that, oh, I'm right. You just didn't know. That's all. Like, I'm not smarter. I'm not more intelligent. This is one of those things that I am telling you, this is a Glasses, you're right moment. This is one of those moments where I know I'm right. Right. Because Fat Joe is very much hip hop to the T. He's hip hop culture to the T. Like, it's probably hard. He know so much shit about Joe could dance, Joe could Joe is really a Bronx guy. But you can see right here that hip hop and black culture are doing this. Because black people who are in tune culturally know that radical black racist is not even a term nobody in tune culturally would ever say with black culture. This is one of those Glasses, you're right conversations. And I just been thinking about this all the time. Like, I've been noticing, I listened to, shout out to my big bro Still Kids. They was having a conversation with me about Puff. And I'm making a plea to them. I'm like, hey man, how could they charge Puff with a RICO? It's one person. How could it be an organization charged for one person? Don't even make sense. You know, why would they charge him with a racketeering but time? Like I'm telling them, and they like, well, I don't care what happened to him. You know, he did this. And I'm like, yeah, but y'all don't know that, you know, this system has been oppressing black people. They have no idea. I was listening to another guy in my brother Trap. Shout out to ADHD, one of the best communities, you know, being developed on, you know, on Clubhouse, hip hop. But there's a brother in there. You could tell they don't see America as this racist country at this point. There's a generation of black people that's probably south of 30 that don't really see America as a racist country. That, like, you know what I'm saying? They don't see America as a racist country. They have no idea America is like, they don't see it that way. Like, a dude asked me, he said, would you go to jail if somebody, like, if a woman called you a nigga, what would you do? I said, I would.
That was Steele who asked you that.
No, this is before Steele.
Oh, I was like, that was Friday.
No, this is before that, but I could tell, like, he don't feel that natural disdain for white folk the way like my generation does. Like, we're not that far removed from where we know, again, you know what I mean when I say white folk, Pete, motherfucking system that da. Yeah. It's like they don't feel that. They don't feel that. So it made me think that was the question. Should black folks still be upset with America? Shout out to Tariq Nasheed, right? This is, again, I've said this ample times. Tariq Nasheed is one of my favorite teachers, one of my favorite filmmakers, really sharp brother. You know what I mean? He a fool. He do 1,000 crazy things. You know what I mean? But he's one of my favorite teachers and one of my favorite filmmakers right now in the current landscape. What up, Dane? What up, Dane? So I love that guy. And his movement, right, that he's in front of, I'm not saying he created it, but the FBA or the ADOS movement, they're two different movements, but they're pretty much the same. Foundational Black Americans, American descendants of slaves, right? Those are really pristine movements with a goal of bringing about reparations. You know, they figured out a great strategy and decided, like, this is the great strategy. And I'm always with the strategy, but I don't identify into anything specifically.
Yeah. Still not as good as my strategy, but a good strategy. Just
that's a good point. You had a good strategy too, but of course you would know, right? So yeah, shout out to Antonio Moore.
Hey, what the hell is that supposed to be?
I'm just you know how to reverse it. but no, I'm saying right. Um. So I'm always impressed, but again, I'm not necessarily signed up to the movement. But again, it is a bunch of black people, so I'm with everything black people doing. I'm with everything that's righteous. Honestly, that's pretty much the truth.
I
If
missed
that
the
shit
Fat
is
Joe thing. What happened with Fat Joe?
so, Fat Joe said he was sitting down with Math, and he had a conversation with Math, and they were talking about the same hip hop conversation. Joe said Puerto Ricans and blacks started hip hop. There's been other conversations about Jamaican people starting hip hop, different things. And I think the confusion is people. People is a very odd word to use, right? What's a Jamaican person? A person from Jamaica, or it could be a person that has Jamaican, descent. I think the conversation is, yes, street urban culture in New York started hip hop. And again, it just happened to be 99.9% of the people shaping Black American, street urban culture, at that time period, late 60s, 70s, and 80s, 99% are black people, right? That's the people that are in these impoverished areas, where the crime is happening. And this is when they took over, because before that, remember Al Capone and them, they're street urban legends. Meyer Lansky, John Gotti, and all the stuff in the Whitey Bulger. It's tons of Mexican guys, the Griselda Blanco. There's a ton of street urban legends that are not black.
Yeah.
That at one time, those cultures, those people and people like them shaped street urban culture. It just happened to be that it was our turn in the 60s, 70s, and 80s to shape it. And it just happened to be two of the biggest American cultural phenoms, gangbanging and hip hop, come out that time where we're shaping street urban culture.
Got it.
So Fat Joe, that's been a thing he's been dealing with, because he's saying Puerto Rican people started hip hop, which that's not completely a lie. There were Puerto Rican people at the beginning.
Mhm.
It just happens to be they were doing the culture established by black people at the time.
And that's the question sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, apologize, but the question that I would like to ask is, what input did they have that sculpted it versus how much were they just participating in other people's input at the time who were sculpting it? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think I would imagine that would be such a crazy conversation, but I'm sure they had some.
It's absurd conversation at this point in time. It's 50 years removed. Damn near.
Somebody there would have great ideas.
Yeah, I just didn't know. Like people say like Jamaicans had an influence on hip hop because of the nature of live DJing, the way they do it.
And see that, and that's
like that's something you could point to.
Yeah, and these things are already Americanized. Like they weren't. None of these things were not. I think so. Everybody's fighting for say over who created it, and I think to a degree it is very much street urban culture. Right? It wasn't street urban culture. Sure. Shout out to Revenge. Say Afro Puerto Rican people, because they weren't white Puerto Rican people participating. I don't want to get into that, because then that's the bullshit. Like that's not the point. Black Puerto Rican people, white Puerto Rican, just Puerto Rican people. Just like all black people wasn't participating in hip hop. There was a ton of black people that was going against hip hop for years. Like that's not an all black people thing. Just like it wasn't all Puerto Rican thing. Just like it was. I'm sure it was Jamaican parents like, get that bullshit out of my house. I'm sure it's Puerto Rican parents saying, get that bullshit out of my house. Just like I know for sure black parents were saying, get that bullshit up out of here. No, you're not going to that party. No, you're not going to that park jam. It's not something, and this is kind of my issue in the conversation. It's not something all black people was down with. They never was always all down with it.
It was very generational too.
The general concept of you don't have a claim to this. It's a specific existence that is this. Some of the greatest advocates against hip hop were brothers and sisters. So I'm saying, stop. You can't make it black or white.
I mean, honestly, I think it's probably fair to say that a real staple and cornerstone of Black America's cultural fabric is the church, and the church, by and large, and it's not in the church's infancy, but in hip hop's infancy, was at odds with hip hop.
Yeah, especially black folk.
That's what I'm saying. Like that.
So again,
that
it's a street type of person. This is why I go back to it. It's a street type of person. So again, that's the problem, right? And this is why I keep saying this is a glass is your right moment. If you ever want me to say this is a glass is your right moment, here's one. I keep telling y'all that this is not black culture. It just happened to be street urban culture, and we're 99.9% of the streets. But all of us wasn't street, and all of us wasn't for hip hop. Just like all Puerto Ricans wasn't for hip hop, and all Jamaicans wasn't for hip hop, and all white people wasn't for hip hop. It just wasn't that way. It just wasn't that way. But again, the culture was crafted by black people in the streets. The culture, the way people danced, the way people moved, the way people, wanted to make that, all of these things was crafted by that. So, Revenge, forgive me, I don't want to get caught up in that point of, white Puerto Ricans and black Puerto Ricans. That's not
some of that's so fucking recessive. Like recessive genetics in that part of the world are really something to marvel at.
Shout out to Tiana, True Glasses, but it was created by us for us. But the us part is the problem. It wasn't the us. It was us who never had a say in the conversation because we didn't have a voice. Yeah. There was us with a voice then. All black people wasn't muted in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
And I don't think it was exclusionary in its creation either. It might have been created, she says, for us. That might have been de facto, but I don't think that it was a hardline policy. I don't think nobody else was welcome. I wouldn't.
Hell no, because that's not how ghettos were. Ghettos weren't like, oh, you know what? You guys can't move in the neighborhood. It wasn't like they ran the Puerto Rican family out the neighborhood, or like in LA, you ran the Mexican family that moved to the black neighborhood. You didn't run them out. You kind of embraced them, Tiana, like you embraced. So it wasn't for us, by us. It was by us, but not for us. It was for everybody, us being us in this ghetto. Yeah. Not us that were black, us in the ghetto.
And not everybody was doing music either. Like there was so many different layers to it. You know what I mean? Like the taggers and the break dancers and all that stuff. Like
that's what we've said. We've said that hip hop is an adjective, not a noun.
Yeah.
And just like gangbanging. Shout out to Miss Tia Robbins and the Miss Tia and the Robbins show. Much love. Thank you. First time seeing at the lunch table. Y'all don't be scared to tell this guy he's wrong. It's black culture. It's not, Tia.
Glasses, you scared.
So don't be scared to tell this guy he's wrong. Miss Tia, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. I'm telling you, I am not wrong. I'm not wrong. That's the sense of entitlement that screws it up. The greatest advocates against it were people that look just like us. So if that was their fucking culture, then how could they be against it? How could most R&B singers not empowered? How could most R&B singers refute every artist coming up in the 80s out of every last hip hop artist's mouth? They didn't feel culturally attached to it. That's just not true. Again, shout out to Mark Gear for making a great point. MC Search was there, but that doesn't mean Jewish folks created hip hop. No, the thing is, Jewish folk could be at the beginning of hip hop, but that don't mean Jewish culture created hip hop.
Tail versus dog.
There's this weird thing that people keep saying black culture, and I get why. I hear this a lot. You know what I mean? And it's a great thought. I hear it all good. I get the thought of it. That's like soul food. Soul food is American slave culture. Every black person in America was not eating soul food. Every black person in America wasn't slaves.
Yeah.
I don't want to include no other races. Listen to what I'm telling y'all. Stop just going from 1 to 2. That's the problem. Today, I'm going to argue with the fucking lunch table. Y'all fucking get me there. And it's one of them days. Y'all getting me fucking there.
Yeah.
Y'all fucking getting me there. Today is y'all fucking day.
And
Y'all getting y'all fucking day, lunch table. We going to go at it today. This is why it's the problem when you keep saying it's black culture. This is why Fat Joe has no idea fully about blackness, but he's very much hip hop.
Sure. And this is the thing, like, just like my own I'm an outsider of the air quotes the community, quote unquote. My exposure growing up was hip hop and sports, firsthand too. I mean, not only from entertainment, but from real life. I could go to a club or I could go to a sporting event, and that was my exposure firsthand.
Yeah.
I got such a much more, like, you know, I had friends, good friends that are still my friends, 25 plus years.
Sure.
It's a different experience when you start meeting grandmothers and you're at family dinners and you see and you go to the church. Like, you realize there are dimensions, and maybe not everybody who was raised in that understands how the layers are, because you're in all the layers simultaneously, just who you are. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Shout out to Tiana. Every black American was a slave until after 1865. Tiana, that is not a goddamn, what the hell, Tiana?
Aren't
That's
there
not
books in this
true.
country? God in heaven.
That's not true. Like, that's not true.
There were black soldiers
There
who
were
were
black
free in the Union
slavers,
military.
Tiana. Like, this what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. And I think that's the belief. I'm having a horrible day. It's not y'all fault, so I'm not taking it out. But I'm not finna let y'all have that shit today. Y'all not finna do this shit today. Every black person in America was not a slave. That's ridiculous. That's not a historical fact. That don't even make sense. Of course, there were black slavers, just like there were black people against hip hop from the beginning. And it's not that their point is misunderstood, or somebody made a point earlier in the group chat and they were saying, oh, you know, well, they were, forgive me, Queen. Let me look at your thing. Tia, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to act like it didn't exist. Just like Dr. King and Malcolm X were for us and wanted the best for everyone, yet our people weren't all the way on board in the 60s. They still were us by us. No, they were not. No, they were not, because black people do not have the monolithic thought. They're not a same community. They don't go the same way.
And that's human behavior. That's I think, like, a broader philosophical idea that media and just brevity lends itself to that. Like, we were talking about, like, some Civil War stuff, like, a couple weeks back. And I was like, yeah, but you're dealing with huge numbers of people. There are factions, conflicts yield strange bedfellows. That's true throughout history. You're never going to get 100% buy-in on anything in any group at any time ever. The New York Times covered up the Holocaust. It was owned by Jews.
It's not just buy-in that makes culture work, bro. I can show you data. Only black people who own slaves were the family members who purchased their relatives back from their slave masters. That's not true.
That's relative. That's regional.
And that's not even true. Some black people got wealthy from slavery. That's just not true. I don't know which books y'all reading, but there are way more books that show that black people own slaves. Like, that's not really a hidden thing. Like, that's you can go look it up. It's pretty simple. They talk about it in different states, but that's not the point. Culture is not rooted in color. Culture is land. It's behavior based off land. It's not based off color. It's land and circumstance. You feel me? So it's like when people keep saying something is black culture, it's almost disingenuous to a degree. But it's easier to say that, because again, I think we all agree. Like, there's not anything that I'm saying that's saying black people did not create hip hop. I'm telling you, the culture of hip hop is street urban. That's why you will see people at the beginning that weren't black.
Yep, 100%.
See the simple gray area in what I'm saying to you. You see what I keep trying to say to you? Like I keep saying it to you. I keep saying it to you, but it's not happening. Y'all not catching that. Y'all not catching that. I don't know why you're not catching that. We're saying the same thing. I'm just saying it more accurately. I'm just saying something more accurately. I'm not disagreeing with you even on that. Shout out to Tiana. Thank you for contributing at this lunch table. You are killing it. Thank you, Tiana, for being here. For real.
Yeah, you
It
got
is
a hot
true,
hand.
Glasses. When you say black, you flatten the meaning. Black is relative. I'm not talking about skin color. I'm talking about specific lineage, a shared history, experience, traditions. That's not everybody.
Then we need a new word.
Then you need a new word. That's the point. Because everybody don't have this lineage. Everybody doesn't have this shared history. Everybody doesn't have this shared experience or traditions. This is a specific thing. Every black person in America was not a slave. Every black person in America did not eat soul food. They didn't have to. That was something that people who didn't have. Hip hop is another thing. And if you really think about culture specifically, culture is very special. Like some reason people keep thinking tacos is like this Mexican culture. No, it's a poor thing in Mexico. You go to Mexico cities and rich neighborhoods, they're not eating tacos. They don't have to eat that. Yeah. Why would somebody who had a bunch of money eat soul food? The reason people like well-done food, the reason people like people like their well-done food because black people had to overcook food because we had the worst produce. So the best chance we had of being okay when it was over with was to cook it well done. That's all an economic thing. That's a fact. Gravy is the same way. We talked about this on this stream. Gravy is the same way.
And like hot take sound clip, you know, whatever. If you want like to get me YouTube canceled, if you want to like leverage my complete destruction for your personal gain. The most, like you talk about race versus culture. The hot take is the most prolific culture vulture in the history of maybe Earth is Barack Obama. Like that's your vis-a-vis comparison. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but now you're going into a whole nother thing where people not gonna quite get that. That's way too deep.
Be that as it may, but it's still a hot take that I had to use for the clip.
Sure.
It's doing my job.
Nobody would choose to eat the intestines of a pig if you can afford the ham.
Right.
Yeah. Right. That's true.
If you had great music, right? If you had great music, if you could play the music, hip hop wouldn't need to exist.
Yeah. Even, I mean, to that matter, I mean, if you look at the history of music that comes out of Black America, it's small band, limited resource, the blues, jazz. Like compared to like an orchestra, it's a lot.
This is the same conversation I had with This is the same conversation I had with Problem. This is the same conversation I had with Problem, where I'm like, if you ask me about Dr. Dre's music, he has all the resources in the world. Like he doesn't have to make this.
Sure.
He doesn't have to make hip hop.
Yeah.
True.
You know what I mean? He doesn't have to make hip hop. That's why most people, as they get further into it, the music starts to become more because you have access. Remember, hip hop or soul food is all about taking worse circumstances, making the best out of it. That's what hip hop is. What's crazy is if you really think about hip hop at the beginning, we've had this conversation 100 times. Hip hop in its first 5 years, the records, remember, these are people, they can afford bands. Sylvia Robinson, Too Short at a 4-piece band. Larry Smith could play. Mm-hmm. Like, listen to Houdini shit.
Sure.
My man, Jay Legend. That's my point, Jay Legend. There were black orchestras in the 40s and 50s, sir. That's my fucking point.
Sure. Yeah, I wasn't saying that they never existed. I'm just saying, like, insofar as the comparison like the creativity level and what was required. You know what I mean, to be successful.
So that's the point.
Artist, say, for
there were black people living a much more fuller experience with economics not being the thing holding them back. There was no need to even embrace culture at that point. Like culture is something that's very, again, like I agree to the fact that most people eat soul food, right? If your family came from this circumstances, and this is supposed to be a way you remember the struggle.
So have we mastered the art of doing more with less?
That's what culture is.
In some regards, yeah.
That's all. But that's what I'm saying. That's all culture is. Mm-hmm. That's why culture has never really truly been black, white. Like again, like Pete is from, his family is from Italy.
Okay.
All conversations are rich and poor conversations because rich people don't got to fucking have culture.
They don't have like Milan or whatever, like the wealthy northern Italian town up there.
They don't eat no fucking spaghetti.
They don't, but they don't eat like you were talking about, like chitlins, like pig intestines. If you remember in the movie Casino, they say "et trips and souffries, et tripas." They eat that shit in Sicily. They eat tripas tacos in Mexico, where they don't have money. They eat chitlins in the South where they don't have money. There's not a lot of Southeast Asia. Like you can get like Cambodian food that has that kind of. They're not doing that the world over at every table. You know, that's not your first pick.
Shout out to the Miss Tia and Robin show again. Thank you for being here and contributing. Shout out to everybody at the lunch table contributing. Man, I appreciate y'all being here, and thank y'all for working my spirits, getting me into a much better space. Malone, are you mixed? Nah, mom and dad is niggas. Niggas from the South. You know, all my family is niggas from the South. Just niggas from the South. Pizza was a poor man's food. Exactly. Again, if you understand
99% dough,
everything, you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, that's what culture is.
There's a great scene in the beginning of.
We talked about gravy. We was talking about gravy the other day, and Joey got mad at me. Joey Westside, the homies got mad at me. I guess it was an inappropriate time to say it, but I was telling them what gravy was. Like gravy is like bad food. It's like a bad food fix. Gravy is the original hot sauce.
Yeah. And that's another thing too.
Put some gravy on that shit. That gravy gonna bring it right back.
Yeah.
Hot sauce, I was thinking about that a while ago. Poor places the world over. Poor India, poor Asia, poor Mexico, whatever. No one says break out the habaneros. We got ourselves a porterhouse.
Exactly.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You get a
shit so spicy, I forget what it is.
You put some A1 on a tomahawk, bro. That's a fight. Look at your ass come out. Why would you do that?
I'm out the game. I've been vegan over 6 years now.
I'm really
out the game.
Talk about luxury.
That's big money.
No, it ain't.
Big money.
That's a whole nother conversation. But it wasn't even financially induced. It was just knowledge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is more expensive if
you gotta have some money to be a vegan.
No, if you eat out every day, it's expensive. But if you go into the store and you just buying vegetables, that's cheaper.
Yeah, you get some salads. No, facts. Shout out to the Miss Tia Robin show cooking. She cooking at the lunch table. I didn't know you was cooking today, Miss Tia. I'm glad you here to cook. We eating. And shout out to my boy, man. I didn't want to skip him. But shout out to Miss Tia and Robin show. I feel like black people always have to include everyone because we are the salt of the world, but it's okay to claim something of your own. That definitely wouldn't be something that I would have a problem with. It's not about including everyone because I think there's a ton of wealthy black folks that include nobody. I think what you're talking about is where we're from, like where you don't have money and you don't control the world. So you do embrace everything. Shout out to Michael Love. Thank you for the $5, our first lunch buy for the day.
Shout out.
Oh, we get our lunch money tomorrow.
We'll get a Ric Flair woo
coming tomorrow. What did you fellas? Everyone still made it to the lunch table from out here in Cancun on vacation, and you ain't at work. My boy, Mike.
Hey, there we go.
At the lunch table.
That's big money.
He's just rubbing it in our faces. He's paying $5 to rub it right in my face.
There he is. He in Cancun.
$5 well spent, my friend.
I know the view is probably amazing.
Damn.
Man, he eating good out there in Cancun.
Super
all right, player,
good.
just grab a lobster for me.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mexico, shout out to one of my best friends in the world, Clinton Fields, is celebrating his 40th birthday in Tulum as we speak. Also, fuck him.
There it is. Shout out to my brother Rob, who's also moderating the chat. If we can get everyone's cooperation with hitting that like button, it would be greatly appreciated. Yes, I don't know why, but
look at this guy.
That's my boy Rob, man. He used to cut my hair.
Shout out to Rob.
Rob, go on cook, man. Go on cook. Make sure I hit that thumbs up button. Get in the description. Get in that description.
He's got one of those wrenches.
Yes, subscribe to No Ceilings Podcast on Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Yeah. Anywhere you get your podcast. We're dropping a fire episode tomorrow morning. Conversations inspired by GNX. New Kendrick album. It's great, so I want to keep talking about it as much as I can because it's really that good. And when I don't fuck with something, I barely talk about it. So I don't think it's about
my album.
I don't think it's about truth. I think it's about facts. Facts.
Who are you, Joe Biden? We don't believe in truth. We believe in facts.
Yeah, truth is perspective. Fact is real. Fact is concrete. So I don't think it's about, we don't have to include anybody. I think we did shape the culture that is street urban culture or hip hop in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. It's obvious. 99% of us made up street urban culture at that time. We were pretty much the influence of everything street urban happening by that time. So it's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is when you hold on to that point and then you confuse what's happening, you get this situation where somebody like Fat Joe, who is very much a hip hop artist and grew up in hip hop culture his whole life, you know what I'm saying? And he doesn't get what blackness is. He doesn't understand why saying radical black racist is probably the wrong term to reference any black people. That's what they called fucking Malcolm X or fucking Farrakhan. Mm-hmm. Like, why the fuck would you use that term? You know why would you use that term? Because you are not black. And nobody culturally has kept you in the loop that ain't how we talk. Boy, that's the only thing that hurt me. Look, him arguing with Tariq, that's fine. Them two grown men, they can argue all they want to. But the term radical black racist, bro, that's not cool at all. And again, it goes back to somebody who was raised in hip-hop culture, right? Hip-hop culture, but don't understand blackness. Because everything about hip-hop is not black culture. See, that's the thing you got to be abreast in black culture to know why you don't say that shit.
Damn. True.
That's why you got to know. Nobody in black culture would know not to say that crazy shit. That's the only thing that bothered me. Look, I'm not going to disagree. The FBA, the ADOS, shout out to all my family. Them motherfuckers could be some trolls. They some trolling motherfuckers on Twitter. They will troll your ass to death. So I can understand that, but you also can't let those moments make you lose your shit and say some dumb shit that makes some niggas not fuck with you.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
I don't give a fuck how much them motherfuckers troll you, cut. Don't you ever articulate the term radical black race. That's some cracker shit to even say.
It's crazy.
Why would you say that?
It's like tantamount. I was just funny. I was thinking about because I was this topic today. Like GBC Sanders is my new hero.
Brother Gene, man, 110 to the end. Here's something towards a well-done steak flooded with A1 sauce, $10. I would never
do
your money
you
like
take
that.
You take that right back where you got it.
I would never do your money like that, Gene, a day in my life. I would never do a steak that way. I would never in my life do a steak that I wouldn't even do a skirt steak that way.
So you got that G body on that picture though.
You feel me?
We over here at the Waffle House having
we're not even gonna get steak if the steak is bad, we're not even gonna order it. So we definitely ain't doing no well done steaks over here, no ceilings. We are not on a plantation no more, my boy. We do not have overcooked meat. I got great meat. Paul. I have excellent cuts of steak. Excellent cuts of steak. So I would never in life do a steak that way.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Here goes Squishy. Shout out to Squishy. Squishy. Gene, glasses don't cook his meat. He might be mixed with Neanderthal.
Oh, this is offensive. As a Neanderthal,
No.
I find this extremely offensive.
Wow.
I'm gonna tell you what it is, Squishy. The day I was let off the plantation, I already knew I didn't have to overcook my meat because I was gonna get the best steaks. I knew from that point on, I wasn't eating no more chillings. I knew from that point on, well, I'm lying. Let me stop lying. Let me fix it. Let me correct it.
Not by necessity.
I don't have to. I'm not eating no Arby's neither. That's out. That's
super
I don't
out.
even know nobody to go to
Me
Arby's.
neither, not a soul.
I don't even know people that went to. I'm talking about no way. But let's be
they've
honest,
got
man.
the meat.
I was telling my homies, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even like gravy on my food. I love gravy, but I don't like it on my food because I'm gonna order some food that don't need no damn gravy.
Yeah.
Sure.
Gravy is the mask.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Like what Pete was talking about that. We was talking about the idea with spaghetti. Like poor people in Italy created spaghetti. Like, you know, they was taking all that old leftover shit put together, put that shit on some pasta. This gonna feed everybody. Everybody gonna be full. That's that's culture.
Yeah.
Culture is when you take some flour and you roll it up and you flatten it and shit, and you take some old skirt steak, the worst cut of the cow, and you put that in there. You know what I mean? Little onions, little cilantro. That's a taco.
And you got to cook it a ton, because if you cook it to medium, it's not. It's you're gonna chew through the fucking taco. You're gonna chew through the tortilla. You got to cook the living hell out of it.
Shout out to tacos and spaghetti. That's two of my favorite
exactly.
dishes.
That's why I be saying about
two
culture.
Of my favorite dishes.
This is my point.
Yeah.
And it's like,
no, see, and this is the problem. See, B. Hayes, this is the problem, B. Hayes. I get why he said that. And I keep telling you this, Pete. I keep telling you why this is, Pete. Because everybody think white people is rich.
Yes.
So rich people don't season their food.
True.
Rich people don't season their food. If you had real Italian food in one of those poor communities, you would realize real fast that poor white people season their food.
Yeah. If you were to come to my apartment in 6 hours, you'll realize we're seasoning our food here.
Yeah, that's kind of such a blanket statement.
Hold on. Shout out to Sean Means. Welcome to the lunch table, bro. I'm glad you're here.
What up, Sean? It's my guy.
False. Culture is not based on just struggle. They lied to y'all and planted seeds to keep a certain demographic underwater. Hip hop was a voice for the unheard. It wasn't even a voice, Sean, at one time.
Contradictory in its
shout out to Sean Means.
Shout out to Sean Means.
That's my nigga for 30 years, man.
My man Sean. Sean, that is not about. We're not saying, Sean, that is based off just struggle. We're saying this particular culture is based off just struggle.
Sure. Like here, real quick. This is like Joe and I are in like opposite, maybe like, you know, like you do like a grid, like there's, you know, 4 squares,
sure.
Some overlap and don't. He's probably more predominantly invested in hip hop culture than black culture.
Exactly.
I think that's fair to say. I don't want, and I'm not saying anything else.
This is why I'm saying that, bro. This is why I'm saying that, bro. Like, this is those perfect moments where you can see hip hop is obviously not black.
Sure. And like I'm the opposite.
It is weirdly, but it's not.
Yeah.
Because this motherfucker has no idea that you should not call black people radical black racists.
Yeah, like I'm the opposite. I care about black culture and black America because of my friends and their families. I care about hip hop doing well for the purposes of like how well it might do for you guys in your lives because we're friends. I don't like if hip hop disappeared tomorrow and you guys were like multi-millionaires from some other means, I wouldn't shed a tear.
Sure.
But if there was some tragic thing happened to black, I'm going to be bothered by it because that's 100 people I know and care about that are having problems now. I don't give a shit if people are rapping or singing or in a 4/4 or you guys we're going to go to a 3/4 waltz environment. Whatever you want to do, go ahead and do as long as you're happy.
Sure.
I don't care. Like I have not a nickel in hip hop.
Not a nickel.
I don't.
Not a fucking nickel.
I have proxy nickels at best.
Shout out to Gene, my homie GBC Sanders. Gumbo was the same in Louisiana. Oh yeah, I heard what you said. That's his Grand National. He got a granny. He had a granny before the dot song came
Riding
out.
in my GNX with Anita Baker.
Gene. Gumbo was the same in Louisiana. It moved up culturally when it became so expensive to make, but my grandmother gumbo pots for more chicken and sausage than crab legs. Exactly. Yes. And that's the thing. We're gonna make sure we get you on the phone. What's Brody name? What's your boy name?
Sean.
We're gonna get you on the phone, Sean, to elaborate further on this.
And
but thank you, B Hayes, for that B Hayes 82 for that $1.50 on lunch. Thank y'all, man. We passed the hour, but we cooking because it's Christmas time, so I know y'all ain't got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I know this is y'all either your last day at work. Some of y'all might have to work, so thank y'all to y'all that's gonna make them.
And we know if you are at work, your bosses are not at work.
Yeah, so we're gonna keep on going. We're gonna go past this hour. Yeah, we're gonna go past this hour, and keep this thing cooking. Listen, it's weird. It's weird, right? Shout out to Space Vision. First time seeing you at the lunch table, man. Thank you for being here. We cooking right here. We getting busy. Fat Joe, the same guy that was telling us to vote for an East Indian woman who was lying about being black while promoting abortions, LGBTQ, and legalizing prostitution.
Damn.
She didn't lie about being black. She's as half black as she said she was.
Yeah, but then this becomes I don't want to have that conversation. One thing I try to avoid is that
I understand that
separation. They're gonna say Jamaican and black. I don't want to do this. Yeah. I'm not doing that shit. I don't got time for that. I don't got time.
And that's like, look, I'll touch and go on it real fast. Like there's a similar relationship between like white people and Jewish people, where on Tuesday, if it's suitable, Jewish people consider themselves white people consider Jewish people white. It's all white and it's all right. And then the next day, you're no longer white, and if it serves white people, and Jewish people are no longer white, if it serves them not to be white that day, and whatever else.
I always and see, this is my point. I am not Jewish or white or European, but white people are white people. Jewish people are white people to me. Yes, I've had this argument about Jewish people being white. Like, you're white. Yeah, but white people don't like us, so what? You still white.
It's the same thing.
It's just a different section of white. You're white.
You can see.
Look, damn it. Look.
And Jamaicans play the same
card. Shout out to Michael Love for the $2. I'm still out here on vacation.
Have a great time. Have a great time.
Thank you for the $5. Wait,
he's banned. He's banned.
Yeah, cool.
Hey, he got a drink with an umbrella on it.
He got a drink with an umbrella on it.
This guy. And the margaritas. All of it. Ban him.
Shout out to Squishy. Speak on it, Pete.
Where you at?
Laughing out loud. I'm approving and denying these loans while my boss is on vacation. Yes, look, Mark. I know it. I don't want to get into this thing. And this is the problem. Like, I don't want to have the conversation about blackness. I'm done with that conversation. I'm just gonna hold on to blackness the way it is. Look, I'm down with all black people. I don't care which black people there is. Even the ones that don't know they black, I'm down with them. Right now, what's the little lady that be doing a TV show that be talking crazy? She a little cute lady, but she just crazy. She seemed like a white person. Who?
Candace Owens?
Candace Owens. If Candace Owens was getting packed out right outside by 3 white ladies, I'd be punching them white ladies. Like, get off Candace. I'm down with the sisters, even if they don't know they're a sister. I'm down with all black people, even the ones that are confused on their blackness. I'm not expecting them to be black. I'm okay with that. And that is where I separate. I'm not saying that, but I am down with my people. If ADOS, FBA, I'm down with that because they black. I'm down with the Jamaican people because they black. I'm down with all righteous shit. I'm down with it all. I'm not getting in all of that shit. I'm not getting in that. I don't got time for that. It's too much shit going on for that. But again, this goes into that same conversation about hip hop and black culture can be different.
Yeah.
They can be different.
Sure.
Break that down.
Because again, hip hop is it's innately created by black people. Hip hop is street urban culture. And again, 99% of street urban culture was influenced by Black people in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. But again, if I say it's Black culture, then Fat Joe has no fucking idea about Blackness, which is why he would use the fucking term
Radical
black racist.
Mm-hmm.
But again, before he said that, I would always say, I don't reference hip hop as Black culture. Not even that, because it's not even just that. I really think hip hop is more about ghetto people trying to make it than it is about Blackness, because again, Blackness is not ghetto people trying to make it.
Yeah. And like I was thinking a minute ago, I forgot to mention, it was kind of an interesting observation. Because of the nature of the arc of how the US economy worked, when Black people reached urban centers for a lot of those manufacturing jobs post Great Migration out of the South, et cetera, after that, you had Vietnam War followed by, that was a huge, like a major recession. And then you had globalization happen. So Black people in dense urban centers are the first people to move there in that sequence that really kind of got shanghaied by the evolution of the economy. Everybody else moved there transiently as the economy grew ahead of them. So that's a little bit different also in that regard. Like Jewish people moved into like poor centers in New York in the early 20th century, same with Italians. The economy thrust them outwardly. You know what I mean? They left, whereas that wasn't quite so easy. Coming out of the 1970s through the 80s, we saw the economy in the country change. We don't make shit here anymore.
Shout out to Arab Black TV. Thank you for hitting the lunch table, Brody. I think I've seen you once. Maybe I'm tripping if I haven't. Fat Joe is about money. He knows the radical Blacks don't go mainstream and therefore don't get money. This is also why he refers to them as broke. Even when he used that term, bunch of broke niggas. Nigga, hip hop is a bunch of broke niggas. Why would you say that dumbass shit? Fat Joe. Like, I don't know why. I hate this new hip hop where they talk shit about poor people.
This was all in the same interview?
Same shit in a clip. Fuck the interview. It was in a fucking 3-minute clip. He said all this crazy shit.
What was the song? Some girl did a song that was a hit recently about like not fucking with guys that's broke. Yes, right. That's the end of hip hop. That song is we'll look back in 5 years. That song will be the nail in the coffin. Thump.
I believe you. Like, it's crazy.
Wow.
Shout out to Revenge. Laughing my ass off. Seems that Fat Joe just isn't as hip hop as you say. I said it. Fat Joe ain't hip hop because he doesn't understand. He goes in the Drake category. There, I said it. Damn. That's not true, right? Fat Joe is hip hop, but I keep telling y'all, hip hop.
He was hip hop. Fat Joe's next album is going to be called "Get Off My Lawn."
You know what? And it is different. Fat Joe has been rich for a long time. Hold up. You know what, Revenge? I might not. I'm gonna have to talk to Joe and really talk to him about this. Yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to Joe. Maybe Joe didn't got too much money. He really didn't assimilate it. You think
Fat Joe's next album is called "Guard Gates" (parentheses) "Get Off My Lawn"?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. His album should be "Get Off My Lawn."
What was old boy name on Friday?
Oh, god damn.
Please get off my line. Stanley,
man.
Stanley.
Fat Joe featuring Stanley.
Shout out to E. Dulo. Black culture is way bigger than hip hop. This is a dope show. That's my point, Dulo. It's not. Black culture is such a tricky thing. Like, I don't know if something's brown culture. I don't know if something's black culture. Even when we say black, I guess the reference is in Black America in the way we use it. Again, Black America is a much diverse thing. It's a very specific experience. If you think every Black person in this country was poor or slaves, that's probably your first greatest mistake. Even if that population was minute of Black people that were like at the top of it or freedmen, that still means that's a bunch of people that never had soul food. So you can't disclude their Blackness.
Yeah.
You can't say they're not Black culture. That's why I say soul food is American slave culture. It just happened to be 99.9% of the motherfuckers in American slavery was Black. But again, there's a percentage of people that was not slaves.
Yeah.
They never had soul food. They wasn't. They wasn't. And same for hip hop. Yes, 99.9% of people in hip hop was black, but that don't mean it's black culture. All right, Mario, don't start doing this bullshit today. Go Mario at the lunch table, fucking spitballs and bullshit. Come on, Mario, with the bullshit today, man. Come on, man.
What do you say?
Black culture, does it only relate to black Americans because you guys came from somewhere? Okay. Fuck, man.
Damn, y'all done got them started.
Here go this dive. Listen. When we reference something as black culture, right? It's specifically black American when they're referencing that term, because you wouldn't call jerk chicken black culture. You would call it Jamaican culture. You wouldn't call fufu black culture. You would call it Nigerian or African culture, right? Right? So when they say black culture, they're referencing something that black people in America, right? That's their thing. That's why they say black culture. See, I'm going to tell y'all something. Look, before Tariq, before the G homie that got the ADOS movement, I forgot his name. I don't know. Antonio Moore. Black people didn't used to claim America like that. It was kind of looked at as Uncle Tommy, you know what I mean, to claim America, bro. It was hella Uncle Tommy to claim America. You just kind of called yourself black. That's how you would talk. I'm black. Because you didn't want to say you were American. That's why nobody else be like, oh, this, that. So we said black as in reference, right, to our rebellious sense in America. Because you never hear a white person in South Africa call himself a white South African. Mm. So again, I'm saying black culture. That's why that means that. That's what they're talking about, black American culture. But again, even that term is a bit loose. Well, like some of this stuff is also why you have some white people who know how to cook what you would call soul food. We call it Southern food for them.
My slut great grandma is a great example.
Oh man, that slut great grandma is crazy,
isn't she? Fried grits, fried grits.
Anyway. He calls his grandma a slut.
I wasn't even. I heard him.
True whiteness. I was a white man for real. Fucking Pete, man.
I'm just trying to throw a stick in the spokes of the bicycle a little bit.
I heard him. I just wasn't.
Pete,
I was gonna talk about it off air. Like, did he say what I think he said?
Fuck, man. Exactly. Shout out to MS Bynum. Exactly. That, you know what's black culture? Don't talk shit about your parents.
What?
Your mother.
You better not. Ever.
You can talk shit about your dad, but you better not say shit about your mom. That is like, that would be black culture across the board.
That's a very like having that kind of back talk is a very white American thing. Cause like, that's something like that sure as living shit would not fly like on my mother's side of the family at all. Like hands will be thrown promptly.
Sure. That's like Eminem. Eminem be talking shit about his mom and shit. His mom passed away. I was like, and the only thing that was going, forgive me, M, for saying this, and rest in peace to your mom. But all I thought about when I seen this mom pass, I was like, he was just talking all that shit about your moms on them songs. You motherfucker.
Whole career.
I was mad about that. I used to be, that was the one thing, like how everybody got something to say about Eminem.
Yeah.
The only
Did he do an album about his dad?
About Eminem that I would have is the shit he would talk about his mom. I'd be like, how would you talk about your mom? Like, I don't give a fuck what your mom did.
Yeah, did he do any songs about his dad?
No.
Why not?
I don't know, because in white culture, you don't see. Only did Eminem do songs about his dad, talking shit about his dad.
Nah, he made it was a couple bars here and there, but
yeah, but not really.
Did he know?
Now black people talk about their dad.
Did he know him?
Did they know? Briefly. Like,
briefly? That's why he's mad at his mom.
So again, it's like either way, it's like that's some white people talk. White people don't talk shit about their dad. They talk shit about their moms.
Oh, we'll talk shit about
their moms. They talk shit about their dads.
It's an interesting point.
If you think about it, like every nigga got a song about their dad not being shit to some degree. Niggas be like a dad song is kind of like not cool in hip hop.
I think both are fair game, especially with like
Royce got to fire one.
those super slutty
it's-
white girls. Because I used to
Hero,
do the
that's just
expression like the "I love you, dad" girls, or "I hate you, dad" girls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point though.
I don't know. I don't know, Miss T. I don't know if I'm helping. I can't stand the radical black racists and then the shot at poor people.
Yeah, that's out of pocket. He out of
That
pocket.
was
for
just
that.
weird.
How is this? Could we expand a little bit on how this would be helping Fat Joe?
I don't know.
Because I don't know. I just don't know where she's coming from on that. It seems like it would be the opposite.
Shout out to Michael Love. Thank you for the $20. The lunch table is global. I'm just letting y'all know where I'm at for safety reasons, if y'all know what I mean. Well, I am flossing a little.
He's
I'm
unbanned.
going out snorkeling
The
in the
ban
Gulf
is lifted.
and not snorkeling in my bathtub anymore. Go on, floss, man. Mike, have a time of your life,
Talk
man.
your shit, Mike.
Shout out to Arab Black TV. Eminem has issues with his mother because that's who raised him and failed him in ways, I guess, from his opinion, just like any parent. It doesn't look like he's a failure to me. Look
Well,
like
he might
Debbie
not
did
have failed. She
look
might
like
have
Debbie
failed
did a
him.
fantastic fucking job. Hey, that's fucking Debbie did a fucking fantastic job.
It's imperfections with perfections.
Yeah.
No, it's not moving the goalpost. It's not, Miss T, it's not moving the goalpost. I'm telling you, there's two things I'm addressing in this particular conversation. One, that I keep telling y'all, hip hop is not black culture. It's again 99.9% inspired by certain poor black people. I agree. But again, that's why somebody like Fat Joe and his other people who may not be instrumental or understanding of black culture that are hip hop people, because they grew up in the cultural areas. But it's a different conversation. This is
I
a
just don't
different
understand
conversation.
where the perception is that you're moving the goalpost toward that would
So
help Fat Joe.
there's two different things happening. She doesn't mean to be. She's being a bit disingenuous because this
Well,
is
we don't
really
have
a
any
battle.
time for that.
Well, this is a battle between like FBA and Fat Joe, and they've been arguing about this the whole time. So this is more about her take on to that.
Sure.
My issue specifically with Fat Joe is him using the term radical black racist and calling a bunch of broke niggas.
Sure.
That's my thing.
Yeah, he got a pocket for that.
So that's just weird. Like Joe shit, that's just crazy. But again, that goes back into that same space where Fat Joe, who is very much a hip hop guy, is very much not aware of black cultural things to not say.
Oh, okay. So remember how? So we all know Kendrick made Drake walk the plank off of the ship of black culture. He's gone. He's now in the ocean. We were saying recently, Steele had said, you need an opponent.
Yeah, Fat Joe couldn't be my fucking opponent. Fat Joe couldn't be my goddamn opponent. I fucking know Joe. It'd be a real fighting shootout if me and Joe was
Yeah,
we gonna be squabbling for real and killing. Shout out to Miss Tia and the Robin Show. The real issue was about Black Star to hip hop. Get to that part of the topic.
Didn't we?
We already went past that.
I feel like we did that.
Yeah, we did that all the time, Miss Tia. We know black people started hip hop. What is going on? I don't get. What are we doing? Like, of course, black people started
flipping over to other shows and checking back in.
Yeah, Miss Tia, you might have missed that. This is kind of like
you're
the
cheating
platform,
on us.
Yeah, that talks about that all the time. We talk about that all the time. I just also don't like the fact when people who don't know shit about hip hop think they're entitled to it because I started it. Nigga, you not from where we from. You don't understand what's happening here. You know what's funny? We're gonna get to that. Shout out to Revenge. Yeah, man, it's weird. I'm not claiming Fat Joe after the explanation, Glasses. He officially is on the other side for me. He's Puerto Rican and Cuban. There's no way he don't understand, Glasses. He knows he's not black, so he's claiming hip hop, but the African side of being Latino, I don't care. I keep telling you, African doesn't mean you are not black. I keep telling you that. That
You mean
when
does not
we
mean you
say
are
black,
not, or that
it
you are?
means something different. So you keep saying Afro Latino. I told your ass this, Revenge. You thought I was crazy. You thought I was crazy. I told you Afro black. That's not black. That is different. That's a greater scope of blackness. That's not what we're talking about when we're in this conversation.
People
So
understand time.
Had you already addressed the comments he made?
No, this was yesterday. But I told Revenge, I said Revenge, because Revenge is like this person Afro. I'm like that's different.
Look,
yeah.
We all have. Every human being has lineage that traces back to Africa. Every single one. You know what I mean? That's not enough.
And in this context, you have to appreciate time and what time means. So in America, for a period of time, you didn't have easy willy-nilly migration, transportation, all that kind of stuff where you had black people from all sorts of places at all sorts of time. There was a period of time where if you were here, you were black, you were pretty much just one thing. By and large, you not entirely, but for the broader scope of terminology and broad stroking, there weren't all these people from all these different countries who looked all these different ways who were able to move here, and they weren't moving here at that time. And then afterwards that happened, and now it changes the conversation some. But as so far as like the roots being deeper, church, food, all these other types of things that are several generations deep, you go back 4 or 5 generations, they didn't have Afro-Latinos coming here. They weren't able to come here. You didn't have people from Africa moving here willy-nilly. It wasn't able to be done.
Shout out to Mario Paulo. Pete, you cooking, forgive me. I just was internalizing. It gets blurry because people are relating black culture with street urban culture. It seems more of a class issue, Glasses. That's the tricky part. And it gets deep, right? And because I'm not taking hip hop from black people, and I don't think that's the point. I think there's people, the people that it belongs to are the people it belongs to, and then you're claiming those people. That's what really should be happening. Like how I appreciate New York. Like I'll never say, hey, we started hip hop.
Yeah.
I never said that. I never felt entitled to say we started hip hop. I'll be like, man, shout out to them brothers from the Bronx and all New York City that figured out how to artistically express our struggle in this country, you know, to patent how we move, to patent how we wanted to party. I always give it to them. I never say we. I never feel entitled to include myself in that conversation. You know what I mean? But that's just my personal approach.
Yeah.
Like I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't feel like I should be saying we, because Glasses ain't do shit. But I get that I claim the Spades and the brothers that started it. They were like me.
Yeah.
Again, like when you truly understand culture, you know what I mean? That's like me saying we started soul food. No, we didn't. I am a California nigga. We ain't started nothing but eating Mexican food more than everybody else. You feel me? I'm very careful with how I use these words, and I don't have that sense of entitlement because I'm a brother and I came from the descendants of slaves. I don't mind however everybody else do their thing. I'm not telling niggas not to do their thing however they want to. I'm saying this is how I see it.
Yeah.
I don't feel that we, like when people say shout out to Space Vision, we invented music, period. If you know the history of the Bible, nigga, we ain't did shit, Space. Me and you ain't did shit.
And the history of the Bible is, if at its minimum, it's space constraint. They didn't have music in India or Japan. Those areas aren't included in biblical writings. Southern Africa is not included in biblical writings, for goodness sake. I don't know what's going on. I mean, it's a pretty narrow area that most of that writing is about.
Shout out to Tiana.
Yeah,
thank you, tricky. Tiana. You've been cooking at the table. Really appreciate y'all. We 1 minute and 25. We 1 hour, 25 minutes, 12 seconds in. Thank y'all for being here. This is a really good conversation. I'm learning some things. I'm getting some of y'all stances, but we're going to clear it up. It ain't about being right or wrong, but it is about being fact-based and having these conversations. Glasses, this is why Africa isn't the tie that binds the Black American experience, where we all started. The South is one lineage. Everyone technically comes from Africa. ADOS is one lineage. I completely agree, Tiana.
Yeah,
like,
I would say that's.
I'm not questioning that, right? But ADOS is one lineage in America, right? That isn't the representation of all Black people's journey in America. Every Black person in America was not the descendant of slaves. Me and you, Tiana, was. I could trace my shit back to the slaves, but everybody was not the descendant of the slave.
Sure. It's like, I mean, it's like the simplest example in the universe. I mean, like, I went to lunch with some girl on Saturday who's Jamaican and born in Jamaica, but raised in England. She sounds like Lennox Lewis. She's in Margate drinking sorrels right now.
Sure.
In America.
Sure.
It's like, that's all you need to know.
Shout out to Space Vision. If our people didn't start music, then who did? Smart guy. Look, I'm not even denying
different people started different music. You gonna tell me that they didn't have a concept of music in the Pacific Rim or in India or in freaking Scotland 1,500 years ago?
I think people did start music. I think people in Africa started music. I'm sure they did, but I just don't. I think everybody connected. I think Peter's connected to them fucking people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I get it.
Anthropologically, I don't. Yeah, we're talking about.
I don't feel the entitlement. I know Miss Tia just was like, "What, nigga? Hold up, Miss Tia. Let me make my point." Miss Tia, she was here because she just trying to reach across the table and slap me. Chill. I'm saying I don't feel entitled to something that men did hundreds, thousands of years ago.
I feel that.
I'm not saying. She about to slap me over the table.
And anthropologically, like, I don't know, like, for example, like, I don't think it's a great controversy that, like, the greater evolution of humankind, you got Homo sapien, Homo pyrus, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, originated in Africa and migrated outwardly. I don't know at what phase or in what time music started happening. Obviously, was Homo habilis expansive from Africa? You weren't probably making a lot of music before you were able to use your hands. So
but that's my point. Like, that's the sense of entitlement that I don't have. Like, look, I'm not denying the influence of Black American people across on the world. That's just ridiculous. That I wouldn't even. Of course, obvious, right? 1,000 things. But I'm saying I don't, like, I'm more compelled to do work than claim work.
That is so un-American.
You're right. For sure, that is un-American. For sure, that is un-American.
The American way in our lifetime is to claim work that other people did and claim harm that other people endured.
Shout out to Sean Means. Nah, that's a problem. You should feel connected to the past as you are to your hood, fam. Sean, I am connected to prior generations of this 7th Street Crippin'. Nah, I'm fucking with you. I'm fucking with you, Sean. No, I'm joking. I'm joking, bro. I'm joking. I am connected to I'm connected to my people in the South. You know what I'm saying? I'm connected to my people that went through slavery. I do feel that. I feel they're close to me. But once they got here on that boat, everything before, I have to work on that connection further. You know what I mean? So if you go past probably 16, 1700, like, I need to go work on connecting that again. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that makes sense. Like, I need to work on connecting back to Africa. But my natural being makes me feel the Blackness with all of us, which is kind of why I don't, like, I stand with all ADOS. I stand with FBA. I stand with Jamaicans. I stand with any brothers, period. You know what I mean? But I don't feel separate from any brother. I never met a brother that I didn't feel separate from. I don't give a fuck if he got jerk chicken. I don't give a fuck if they look like Rihanna. Mm-hmm. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I feel a connection to all brothers. And then everybody else, like Pete, I build connections with. We see where we connect at. But like if I feel the connection right there. Yeah. So that's why I'm not so quick to shadow off brothers, like, completely. You know what I'm saying? Like, none, even the ones that are confused. But again, that's the point I was saying. Like, I don't want to. The ADOS is a specific movement. FBA is a specific movement of blackness in America. But there is blackness outside of that in America. There's blackness outside of hip hop in America. No, I totally agree. Shout out to Tiana, still cooking. Glasses, I agree that after the Immigration Act of 1865, all black people in America aren't ADOS. Correct, but ADOS such as you and I are own what was stolen from our ancestors that put us in the economic. Yes, but no, every black person before 1865 wasn't descendants of slaves. Shout out to Air Black TV. Foundational Black American is what FBA is. Every black person in America was not a slave. Every black person pre-1865 in America wasn't a slave. That's just not true. That's just not true. Every black person here was not a slave. They just weren't. Every black person here wasn't a slave. There were slavers, freedmen, and slaves.
I think there was a black guy who was part of the Continental Congress who like stood as like the head of the Continental Congress briefly before he started electing normal presidents. At least I was of the understanding. I don't know the guy's name because I suck at that. But
yeah, but I also
have you heard that? Like the people say like the technically like the first black president was
black. Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about. So that guy did exist.
Yeah, I heard that was true. Yeah. I never did enough research to verify. But
it was one of those things where it wasn't like the president of the United States. It was like the speaking head of the Continental Congress, something in that transitional phase where they couldn't figure out how to do the paperwork.
In theory, yes, because my family, I would be a foundational Black American because of family. Like my family are, Americans who built the country, Black Americans who built the country through slavery. Yeah, that's what it is. But black people existed in America before slavery. Black people came here, they were here. Yes, all the black people that came on the boat, they probably were slaves. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it was black people here before that. That wasn't the first introduction of black people into the United, well, whatever you would call this plot of land back then. Sure. But yeah, but all my family come from the South. I could trace back both lineage into slavery, like probably all the way back to like the 1800s. So yeah, families were slaves. Yeah, they was on the plantation. But everybody family wasn't on the plantation. That's true.
Yeah.
Everybody family wasn't on the plantation. So again, if I had an issue with Fat Joe, his rhetoric, look, the hip hop part, I'm not gonna argue with no bunch of New Yorkers about who started hip hop. I don't really care.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I did my own work and I know what I know, but I refuse to argue with New Yorkers about who started hip hop, especially Fat Joe or them. They pretty much told me what it was. That's not the important debate. The debate of him using the term radical black racist, don't say that no more, Joe. Yeah, that's not cool. Don't never say that no more, bro. Like, you fucking it up for a lot of us that love you and fuck with you. Don't never say no sucker shit like that. And don't be talking about poor people. Don't say poor black people. Don't say poor niggas. I don't care about. That's not a slight, bro. You come from the ghetto too. Don't do that. Just because you made it out, don't do that. That ain't player. You got to keep that shit player, bro. Like, they gon' all that and let y'all do your thing, but come on, man. Don't put all the brothers in the bad spot by saying all that bullshit. That shit not cool. Don't talk like that. Don't do that. Don't let that money, don't let that skin, don't let none of that shit make you forget that you grew up with us, nigga, and we was together, nigga. Don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's what it is. But shit, we gonna get up out of here. Again, this is No Ceilings Live, the lunch hour, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time. Right here. Click the thumbs up button real quick for me.
It's free.
Click the thumbs up button. It don't cost you a dime. Feel me? And look below in the links. Look below in the description. Subscribe to the No Ceilings podcast.
It's free.
Fresh conversation dropping tomorrow.
Yeah.
A great conversation dropping tomorrow. Yes, we going live on Christmas. Yeah, we is. Yep, we going live on Christmas. Me and Pete don't take off. We don't take off. We are going live on Christmas to celebrate Christmas with y'all. Look in the description. Subscribe to the No Ceilings podcast on Apple Podcasts or Apple Podcasts or iHeart Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcast. New episode dropping tomorrow. Conversations Inspired. Thank you, Tiana. Love you. Thank you for rocking the table. Thank you, Sean. Thanks, Fats. Thanks, Rob. M. Benz, Michelle. Hey, what's much love? Make sure you look for that episode, Conversations Inspired by GNX, the Kendrick Lamar album. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, don't miss that.
It's a great episode. My man Six John is on there, and we having a really intelligent conversation. It drops tomorrow morning. So while y'all ladies, it's a lot of ladies in here, while you whipping up your gumbo, get your AirPod in, listen to that conversation. It's really great. Yeah. It's really great. Subscribe to the No Ceilings Podcast, the No Ceilings Podcast, executive produced by Charlemagne the God, the Black Effect Network, and iHeart. We love y'all, man. We out here. Thank y'all for being here. See y'all Wednesday on Christmas at noon if you got a minute. We on.